Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about 5 misconceptions about walking the Camino de Santiago. This all came about after a conversation yesterday with a friend when a friend of hers told her that in order to walk the Camino, she had to do some specific things. I beg to disagree. So, right after the intro, we'll get into it. And stay tuned until the end, and I'll give you one more big misconception. I'm Anita, aka the professor. Join me and my husband Kevin as we strap on our backpacks, grab our passports, and explore this amazing world. Misconception number 1. There is only one Camino, and that's the French. Now, while indeed the Camino Francais, or the French route, is indeed the most popular of all the Caminos, it is by no means the only way to get to Santiago de Compostela. In fact, many would argue that a real Camino begins the moment you step out your front door. There are Caminos all throughout Europe, some starting in Canterbury, Prague, Valencia, even Rome. So to say that the French route is the only route, no, not at all. There are many ways to go to Santiago de Compostela. Misconception number 2 is about tour companies. There is a huge misconception out there that you must hire a tour company in order to walk the Camino. That is absolutely false. You don't need to hire a tour company. Now, they are certainly available and they provide a lot of services that for some people they're needed, okay? They will book your accommodations. They provide a certain level of comfort and knowing about what's coming ahead that many people really need and they enjoy. But when you hire a tour company to do your Camino, it is a completely different experience than what others might experience. So research carefully. They are very expensive, as you can see, and you don't have flexibility. Once you book with a tour company, you are set to their timeline as far as where you go every day, and everything is planned. So you don't have to do it, but it is an option for some people. Misconception number 3 is about guidebooks and the stages. Many people believe that you are to go stage by stage by stage, as the guidebook says. No, you don't. It is a guide. It's a point of reference, all right? The guidebooks are great for letting you know where are their accommodations if you haven't booked ahead, where there might be grocery stores and pharmacies, things that you might need along the way. They're great resources for that. Also for giving you cultural information. What about the cathedrals, museums, things that you might see as you go through various towns and cities? They're great resources for that. But the stages that they all recommend are merely that, they're recommendations. And if you look at the amount of distance, not everybody wants to walk that far. Many of us can't walk that far. It depends on the change of terrain. I know when I walked the north this past summer, yes, I looked at the guidebook as a guide, but there were many, many, many days that I did not walk anywhere near the amount of kilometers suggested in any given stage, because I looked at the terrain and I said, no, there's a lot of up and down today. I'm going to take it slow and steady. Or maybe it's raining and I know I'm going to have to go slower because I need to be careful in the rain. So the guidebooks are a guide. They are not set in stone. So when you look at them, do not say to yourself, oh my heavens, I have to walk 26 miles during stage 3. No, you don't. Misconception number 4 is that in order to walk the Camino and truly be a pilgrim, you must stay in albergues. No, you don't. Albergues do offer a certain type of communal experience that, it has been romanticized, let's just say, in various movies and documentaries. The truth of it is that albergues often are large rooms, many people in a room, bunk beds. I've even seen one with 3 levels of beds, shared facilities. Men's and women's bathrooms are usually separate, but the sleeping areas typically are not. So you have mixed genders. If you're a light sleeper, you're going to have problems because people snore, people fart, people make noise. Some people get up really early and they may turn on lights, headlamps, these sorts of things. It is a unique experience, let's just say that. For many of us, though, we're at a certain age where we want a certain amount of comfort, okay? We want our privacy, and we want to make sure we get a really good night's sleep before we head off for the next day. So to say that you must stay in an albergue is a major misconception. There are many other types of accommodations along the Camino. There are Airbnbs, there are hostels, there are hotels. And when I walked the Camino del Norte, I booked ahead. I knew it was going to be tourist season, so I knew things were going to fill up quite quickly. I stayed at albergues, I stayed at hostels, I stayed at a couple Airbnbs, and I stayed at hotels. Each of them offered me a different type of experience, and I'm very grateful for that. But under no circumstances, to walk the Camino, you must stay at an albergue all the time. This brings us to misconception number 5, and that is that you must walk the entire Camino. No, you don't. We may not have enough time off from work to spend 2 months walking a Camino, all right? And we may have family, we may have other responsibilities, finances. There are a lot of factors that one must consider when they decide to walk a Camino. And if you only walk part of a Camino a week, okay. If you only walk a couple days, fine. Don't think that you haven't walked a Camino. Yes, you have. All right. Now, the caveat is if your goal in walking the Camino is to obtain a Compostela at the end, then you do need to walk the last 100 kilometers, and you have your pilgrim passport stamped along the way twice a day during that time. But that is only if you want a Compostela. So the last 100 kilometers going into Santiago de Compostela, you need to walk if you want the Compostela. But if that's not your goal, fine. I know a lot of people I've met along the way who, for whatever reason, started 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and they could only walk a certain section. And then a year or two later, they pick up from where they left off and they walked another, little bit. That is perfectly fine. The Camino is your journey, and no one should tell you that, oh, you're not a true pilgrim if you don't walk the entire thing. It is a great accomplishment to say that you have walked an entire Camino, all right? It speaks to your physical and mental and emotional fortitude. But you know what? We're all different. And for some people, going out in nature and walking a day, even 2 or 3 days, is a major accomplishment and it should be recognized. So don't think that you have to walk the entire route. Consider how much time do you have? Consider your physical fitness, because it does take a certain amount of physical fitness and fortitude to walk every day, all right? Even if we're only walking 4 or 5 hours a day, it still takes a bit out of our system. We need to think about our finances. We need to think about our family and friends and other responsibilities we have at home. So once you consider all that, that will help guide you as to how much time you can spend on the Camino on any given year, all right? We also have to think about visas if you're American, if you're not in Europe, but we have to think about how long we can actually stay in Europe at one given time. So those are things we have to think about as well. But again, the misconception is that you must walk the entire route. No, you don't. All right, well, that was misconceptions 1 through 5. You've made it to the end. And thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, share the video with your friends, get them to subscribe as well, and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Now, what's that one extra misconception? Well, it involves the backpack or the rucksack, depending on where you're from. To carry or not to carry, that is the question. And you know what? It's up to you. It's a very personal decision. You know, it may be physical limitations, it may be personal choice. You don't know, okay? So whether or not you carry your backpack, that's up to you. There are companies out there that will transport your pack. And from what I've seen, seems like they do a pretty good job. You know, some people have physical ailments. They just don't want to carry their pack. There's a lot of different reasons. I like to carry my pack as much as possible. I like having my things with me. But I've already thought about the fact that the next time I walk a Camino, I may be taking a lot more camera gear, video gear with me. And I'm not going to be able to carry all of that, including my personal belongings. So I may indeed ship my personal items a day ahead. I'll decide when I get there, okay? So it doesn't mean that I won't be walking a Camino. Certainly I will. It'll just be my way of walking the Camino. And that, I guess, is what I want to leave with you. The Camino is a very personal journey. Whether or not you walk it for religious reasons, personal reasons, spiritual reasons, physical challenges or accomplishments, it's up to you. But it is your journey and you should walk it your way. Don't let anybody tell you there's a right or wrong. There's just different, okay? So enjoy your journey and buen camino.